So you held back there in Pleasant Company, right?
I held back, yeah, of course.
Yeah. You know, that was the calming way of putting it. We are here. Do you know what I envy? The snow of Chalet right now. I could throw myself into it. We are standing here on Chalet, and this is w7m's to drive. And what I think it's fair to say, Demo, to contextualize the day that we've had, is in some ways quite unexpected. The first two games.
Yeah.
Do you think this will set us back on the road to normalcy?
I think it could. Like I said, the guys are there. You have to get real. You know, you're dealing with 9Z who don't have the experience. You know, they don't. Compared against w7m, you look at the players on that side, right? What an insult. Please don't get it twisted. In no way, shape, or form is it an insult. You know? It's... You have to always look at it from perspective of who are the better players, who are the better team. Ask w7m because they proved it. They've won majors. They've been there. They've done that. 9Z haven't. So it's more of a, you have to give respect across the w7m, and almost it would be an insult to say that w7m is going to struggle today. I feel that would be a disservice to these guys who have won a major, you know? Yeah, that's the way I look at it. You have to give the guys who have done it credit first.
I think a lot of it is going to be a big test towards Zhao and Nitro, especially the two players from this roster that have been able to get themselves from NiZ in towards the top 10 off of the basis of what is, I mean, for Zhao's case, more a single huge standout performance of 16-11 against Loud is phenomenal, but they pulled themselves even in the second game, 9-8. Nitro's been a little bit more consistently successful, but Tuku is actually going to be the one that opens things up and removes Volps and themselves very wisely. I think they got that early kill and then were like, I am out of here, not giving w7m a great trade game the chance to prove why.
Yeah, very cheeky kill, wasn't it? You know, expecting the repel to come in. He just thinks, oh, I'll just sit out the window. He'll not expect this, and he didn't. Oh, the nade just barely misses out. And somehow gets out of there. Nitro will live to fight another day, but still... You've been able to take out the player in that corner, which is always the tricky position that the attackers will go against. w7m, though, with losing out that man who would have been patrolling over towards that double window, towards Fireplace now, they need to see if they get a little bit of creative, and maybe the dog call will do so. Oh, full blinded finds two! Brilliant from Lobin.
I mean, just had a moment and seized the day. Dots gets one as well. And suddenly that Viper has struck. Now, Will is thinking about pushing their way up the blue stairs, gets rid of the drones, they can play this position a bit aggressively, but they just take that as the meaning to, okay, well, let's just push into the site. The Blackbeard gets closer and closer, and then gets the execute. w7m, they had the first body go away from them, and then refused to have any more.
Now that is just... They won a 4v5. Because what influence did the player he dropped? He didn't do anything.
No.
It was blatant 4v5 as you could get.
You had a moment where you were proved right from a previous game. And I don't know if you remember, but you said I can't remember if it was the cafe the game before, that Aruni's good because they're a 3 armor and they can survive a grenade. And they did.
Yeah.
How do you feel being...
No, it's just
occasionally right.
You know, just used to it, you know. Sitting here, rubbing shoulders with the stars, you know. Yeah, used to it.
But you're entirely right. It was a 4 versus 5, but there's a way about it where it just didn't really feel like one. And I know that's a strange thing to say, but think about how w7m approached that. That was all their game, their drive, using the Flores drone to push the player further up towards blue, striking at the same time. Lobin sneaking in and getting 2 kills is a fantastic boon.
Flashing the guys at Fireplace as well. You know, and you have to get the timing on those perfect.
And I guess what we maybe didn't get the truest taste of is what freed him up to be able to do that. And maybe it was just a little bit of the concern from 9Z, who were like, okay, we've got this first kill, let's pull back. Right decision, but you cannot give a team like w7m that much to play with, because you'll just turn this map into their sandbox.
Yeah, W7M, obviously being a big team in Brazil, this is where we get into the territory of if you make one mistake, you will be punished. You know, W7M, FaZe, and Furia, I think are those teams where if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. You almost have to play perfect Siege to beat teams of this caliber, you know? And I think for 9Z, it's a lot to ask. Like, come on. In what universe does somebody go in and win that? Ow. Ow.
Well, Will is able to find one back against Odez as the smoke canisters an early pop there. They've removed the ace. Again, it was the Nomad that went off first time last round. This time it's the ace. So it's always these structural operators to a take. They're being taken out, but that's not really going to slow them down. I am curious to see how the Rara is going to deploy in this hold. The Laz is a bit confused, but it's more than happy to take the head off of Naza. Nitro does find Volps in the meantime, and the plant is being attempted. The Ying is pulled down. A great bait there on the castle. Pre-prepped all the way up to the line of the hit. And that now leaves them in the 3 versus 1. Palu, all that's left here, and I mean, you got to give credit for the hold and the take, the preparedness from 9Z. If I said it felt well rehearsed from W7M before, just things like the prepped castle there, the play on the break on the back end, it felt like W7M weren't able to operate this round.
Yeah, I mean, Paulu's brought in the Aurora, but hasn't used anything in the doors. You know, it's bringing these operators, but they haven't served the purpose.
Do you know what I think the purpose was? And we'll
they were going to try and block
that
door off, but it was castled.
Yes, it's exactly that, right? Maybe even hit the door that goes on towards, you know, this side of the map as well, if they wanted to block out top Slayer and block out this sort of corner. And it's just, at this point, Parley trying to find kills and none to be found.
No. No, look, yeah, make a good point. Probably is just the castle was there. Maybe we weren't expecting that. Castle was well prepped. Though.
Yeah, oh yeah, the castle was played perfectly. It was played brilliantly.
Yeah,
you shouldn't be surprised by a castle being in that position, though.
This feels as though that they were probably lacking somebody towards the kind of bathroom piano window side, wasn't it? I think that's probably one thing that they kind of missed. But is that because the ace who was over there got jumped out on? One thing I will say about 9Z is that they're not just sitting back. They're actually taking the fight to them, which is, I think, the way you have to play is against W7M. You know, they're being cheeky. You think about the 2 opening picks that have happened. You know, for that side, one of them was swinging onto the double window. The other one was jumping at a bathroom window, killing the guy in the rappel. You know, they're both very in your first play, so I think overall for 9Z, it's the right, I'd say, attitude to have. You know, a team could easily come in here and just sit back and let W7M do all ungodly amount of things to you. You know, it's you need to be very, very careful.
Well, it was sort of my concern after that first round moment where they were able to crouch walk their way past Ivy and just put the pressure on top fireplace. Is this 9Z giving them too much fear and not trying to contest top blue stairs, not trying to contest along that sort of shot? And well, now as they make their steady and slow approach here, immediately Lobin wants to try and replicate the magic they made before, but reverse this time. They've been able to get deep. Will they get red? There's one. Now they've got to react towards this. They've got to put the surprise on. There's a bulletproof camera of a dead player that's going to read some of that. The grenade will stop them rotating on. They're going to actually throw down the tracks. Thing is on the back end of it. There's the conjoined pressure. It's a shield. Popping around the corner of the bathroom as Lobin finds a second. Zhao is locked out once again of another round. I said they're going to be a bit of a, you know, potential problem here is after their huge performances, after being one of the top 10 rated players, this will be the test of if they can keep that up, Demo.
Yeah, again, got control of that top floor. Blackbeard just steamrolls his way through. C4 though, oh, the C4 hits! Was able to pick off the Blackbeard as the shield was bashed away, but it doesn't matter, there's enough bodies still for the trade-off from W7M. Again, that's always a measure of a good team. Somebody goes down, you're traded back 2 in return. You know, that's the power of this team.
Well, traded rounds.
Ban here.
Yeah, probably. It's gotta be. Gotta be. At this point, I'm wondering what W7M will
More!
take.
Sing more! Oh.
What W7M will take on the defense. Lucy, yeah, I mean, it's fair. She's been a frequent for a lot of teams. She's sort of, I'm not going to say she's entirely found her way across all the metas at the minute, but the way that W7M have been approaching, Lobin crouch walking in 2 of the 3 rounds and finding success, it's an entirely fair removal here for W7M.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think both bands, again, both teams have shown this operator that they'll play it, so just remove it, yeah, no problems there. But, as always is the issue, there is more than one shield, and Dots is like, right, well, I'll jump on the Blitz then for this round. Blitz, compared to Blackbeard, the kind of differences that you have, well, obviously Blackbeard has the nades, which is his main draw, I feel, as the shield, is the fact that he has the nades. He can be a bit of a one-man wrecking crew and can remove a lot of stuff. Blitz is way more in your face, in the kind of close quarter environments that Chalet can offer in towards this top floor. Yeah, Blitz straight in through a window, flash you, easy kill, really, really strong. I think the Blackbeard, just overall, based on the utility lineup that, 9Z have kind of brought in, where they're bringing in bulletproofs, they're bringing in deployable shields, they're playing players in those positions, it up in towards the corner library. You would love to have the nades for that. So I think doing it with a Blitz, it is doable, but they have to have things, I think, a lot more unlocked, that you can't be allowing the Blitz to push into, 1v2 angles. He needs to be fixated in those 1 versus 1 engagements.
Doubling down on the utility hold as Nook is instantly removed here. Not the best way, but Volps wanted to try and hit this map itself, but one of those risk-reward sort of operators and positions. The Jaeger fought and pushed back around the top of blue, and again, what I'm sort of hoping here is that they hold on with a little bit more confidence than they did before, instead of giving that option, that route through for W7M. W7M, in the meantime, what are you planning here with this Blitz? Is this going to be an off to the races underneath, right into the site itself? They've got a lot of ADSs and Wamai charges to try and cook their way through here on towards this player in the top, and that's going to be that sort of trade-off. You can see how much utility has been dedicated towards this hold, and they sort of slowly juggle their way around. The pressures come out. The players are still concerned about Lobin making another appearance behind them, as they probably should be, but it's all pressure on towards a court player. The pre-fire doesn't connect. Nitro survives with more health this time round.
Well, W7M getting stuck in, as well as 9Z. They're, again, keeping the pressure on W7M. Util dump hasn't really worked, as there's still plenty of players in and around the top floor. The Warden being able to lock down that double window. Nobody is there at the moment. W7M have slowed the pace right on down, and I think it's just them trying to gather a bit of information, see where they bounce back from.
Well, they step themselves in. They want to try and take the fight here. If they could get the vertical, they could suddenly be in a much better stead. Obviously, the Blitz tried to go in quick on the window, but lost the kit, and they're well aware of it. But then they just swing in. The second fight comes through, and they're stepping in with the pistol. They can't quite get it, and there it is. A couple more kills start to filter their way. The support structure was there this time.
Good.
For 9Z, and they keep themselves level 2-2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, trading back really well, I think, from 9Z. Not allowing W7M to kind of run away with the game, which did happen to them previously. So, I'm pleasantly surprised by 9Z at the moment. I think they're gunners. I think that's one thing you have to credit them for. They can shoot. Doing really well. So 2 rounds left. We head over towards the top floor again. Now, obviously, we had a bit of a disaster here where the castle was brought in, and it kind of threw W7M for a bit of a loop. I don't think that'll probably catch them by surprise this time, though, Fluke. I don't even think they'll probably go for that same attack. I think they'll go for something different.
I mean, I would be surprised if they just keep trying to double down, because that's the team that W7M is. They love putting in new strats, they love putting in new games, they love sort of beating people in multiple different ways, and yeah, with the Raura gone as well, 9Z isn't broken. They're not going to change it. They've got the castle extension here across the top as well. If it's well sort of prepped. Obviously, the Malusi is no longer on the board. But instead, they've juggled in the Ella. They've brought something that can do a similar strike, giving that early warning on the chance on a w7m player crouching their way through.
Okay. To be maybe a library take. Yeah, library take is going to be the play. Or w7m. Blitz is really good for this take specifically. He can jump in through that single window and just immediately rush down this player right here in Fireplace. So Nazan needs to be really careful at the moment that he doesn't get called out and he can easily fall back, because if the Blitz does catch you with that flash, ain't no hope for you. So again, we're just waiting until w7m are geared up for this execute on these roamers. Actually rotating the Blitz towards the double window instead, maybe wanting to pressure the guy in towards a small box, perhaps, but I mean, either way, the Blitz is going in library.
Yeah, I think that's it. The Blitz is going in library. We saw Loban playing around the bottom of the stairs. There's the Blitz off to the races, and it's pressure from underneath. Dots does find Nitro. There's a Fenrir begging for their life as their blind sprays through. There's no way through, son. You got to go around, and Zhao has the cover, but Palu has the catch. And it now finds ourselves in a 4 versus 1 as they had entirely surrounded it. I said it earlier on when you said it's good that 9Z is stepping in, getting aggressive. You cannot let w7m set up. The hard thing is with that statement demo, sometimes you just don't know that they are doing that.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do, isn't it? You know, w7m can just play as reserved as they want until things are in the right positions, and then they go for it. Another thing as well is, look how punishing the windows were on that round as well, Fluke. People trying to run back into the bomb site, maybe try and go out and assist those guys over towards library. Not going to work. You know, those windows will cut off all of those rotations. Yeah, that's a clinical round from w7m. What we expect to see, just really good Siege overall.
Now, there's the chance here of 9Z getting themselves an even half and maybe even further beyond. And I think it's one of the things where we said at the start of, we have games of expectations, right? We have understandings with all the data, all the head-to-heads, all the history, everything comes together. We put it through our machine of calculations, which is our desk, and then they spit out a result. And I think even amongst the result, you can still see things that are impressive, because here, 9Z, for me, they're still putting in a decent showing, which against a lot of other teams that otherwise should be but aren't, that we've seen earlier tonight, it sort of still sets a nice pace for them. You definitely, you know, have something that they can hold on to here. They're not running sort of scared. They're not making too many vital mistakes. They're just being punished by a team that is, I think it's fair to say, pretty good.
Yeah.
w7m?
Understatement, maybe you could argue.
Yeah, you could say great.
You know, you went, it's just a major. It's no SI, is it? Just a major.
You say that to their face. You say that to Brazilian fans. 3-2. w7m. They have their chance now to push it over towards 4-2, but it has been traded rounds back and forth, and this time the ram on the door and actually some hard breach, which I don't think they actually brought last time they were down here. They have the opportunity to go for something a little bit more steady, but the first fight is Volps. Does he know? Oh, does he know there's two of them? But do they know Volps is about to pop round the corner and feast across the billiards table?
That's pretty much should be round done at this stage, shouldn't it? 2 kills like that. Yeah, there's another one for them as well. So we've just went for just a roam game. And I don't even mean like a roam game with any intention. That felt like a ranked roam game from 9Z. That's what they've attempted. But w7m just so efficient in how they can clear out those roamers. And that leaves them a 2v4. Yes, one of them is the Clash, but hang on a minute. What was that from Dots? Decide to run down. Air jab goes out. Should be a freebie, and it is. Last guy swinging around in towards blue. 3 players that he needs to try and find. Volps will pick up that diffuser. Has not yet went for the plant. Do they have any idea where he is? Yes, they do, Volps. Finish it off with a 3-piece. I mean, that is probably the easiest round of the day. Gotta be.
I mean,
What was that? Just a TDM match. That's all that was. That was a team deathmatch.
I think that's the thing, is that's the round that comes after I'm complimenting how 9Z were getting into it.
Oh,
but
dear.
you just cannot write off w7m. I think that's the thing, right? Is for a lot of teams, when you go up against them, you'll go like A, B, maybe some C, right? And then that's how you're playing. So you're like, they're doing A, we could do this for A, maybe they'll move on to B and we can do this for B. The W7M not only are using a longer and deeper alphabet, they're also throwing in some algebra, they're throwing in some symbols. They just always seem to have other ways to make you uncomfortable when you're in a server against them. And yeah, it's Chalet, you can play it aggressively, but the consistency that they've been able to get a player sneaking in behind 9Z on those rounds just sort of shows that in practice. They would prep so heavily against W7M. They've had the week to get into this game specifically. You couldn't ask for more data on certain teams and sort of where they're going and yet.
Well, we move. 9Z on the attack now. Usually it is the favored side, don't forget Chalet, attacker-sided. So naturally you would assume they'll have a good time, but they are up against a side that will know exactly what to do on the defense, that being W7M. Now, in terms of the setup they're going for, it looks as though it's one of their strategies where they will extend over towards library by also opening up a lot of the walls and create these really long sight lines, and then they'll use the deployable shields that they have at their disposal just to engage and just keep fighting for library. I think that's their setup. But could be wrong. I didn't get a great look at it, but just based on the operators that they have and the way they kind of geared it up, then I would assume so. But again, just not entirely sure.
Let's see if they can have the confidence that leads them into this engagement the same way that they've had the confidence to step in to some of the approaches from W7M. Now, with the use of the Frost, the play of sort of, yeah, step in, let's see what you can get. It's not the most common, but it's a great gun in the right hands. Dodes is going to try and be those right hands for now. A steady approach towards library side. It's giving them food for thought, and they're being pretty cautious, but, well, caution has paid off. The first is theirs, Parlu, and now they can start to operate. Zhao moving their way up the main stairs, gets the second, but gets traded out by Dot still. Second kill for the round. There goes Dodes. There goes Parlu. Unfortunately, there goes Naza. Levels things back up as... Oh, the sense! Slips and slides on by. Tears one through. Reactivates the gadget now. Peering and peeling around the corner. The pre-fire won't connect. Volps does get one, but with only a little bit of health. Has to get two more for the trouble.
Why are they not going sight? Move. We'll see the diffuser being planted, and finally they're in. My word. I mean, W7M have really stretched themselves thin for this hold. It almost feels like they're trying to hold about 60 or 70% of the map with the extensions that they've went for. Using the shield against them. I mean, HP wasn't an issue. It's his team's util now. His own team is starting to affect him. Does have a few pings though. Must be coming from the BPs in the site. He will work his way towards half wall, but all 9Z need to do is just play a crossfire. Shotgun comes in. Oh my god.
Oh! I looked and I thought it was a Frost map for a second. Unbelievable.
So we're playing for clips.
Stick a fork in it. Serve it up.
Playing
Unbelievable.
For clips. Has that ever been done at tier 1?
I mean, over the history of Siege, surely yes. I can't remember seeing it for a long time.
Attackers need to locate.
I've seen it where the breach in charge is placed. You know, remember whenever breach in charge you could place above, like the radius would like kill somebody.
Yep.
You know, if the diffuser was below it. I don't know if I've ever seen it just right beside the kit. I don't know. It could be a one-off. It could be. Like, it's just the cojones in this man playing for a clip of that caliber is
Honestly.
insane.
Honestly.
Oh.
I mean, what a... I love it. 4-3. And we talk about confidence. What a way for it to sort of continue. Beautiful. Love this. Damn it, I love this game. Just love Siege.
Good to know. Good to
I
know.
just love Siege. Blackbeard will be potential driving force here. The potential chance of a Scopos. I always really enjoy
Ram
Scopos.
LNG.
Well, not for
the
very
fry.
long.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Tuku.
I think.
I'll take that one. That's my fault. Couldn't have said anything.
Anyway. Scopos I really
Scopos
enjoy. They're
gone.
traded out here, so maybe I'm not going to say my point either.
Let's not speak. Let's just silent cast.
We're
People
only
will
allowed
die.
to talk about operators that aren't here but close to it. This Blitz lookalike trying to get control of statue
Oh, is this Nomad?
and trophy underneath. Yeah,
Got
as no
the reverse sledge.
opposite Nomad. Reverse.
Yeah. We've got a Legion and Fenrir cosplayer.
The Wub Wub.
Yeah.
As
He's tried to run in. Yep. Hatch is open,
Right.
and he's tried to
Well,
run in.
we're losing the plot as much as 9Z are here. There's two of them left. One's a Blackbeard alone. The Gridlock's trying to offer some support, and they do get one, but ooh, bit of a questionable motion there because
Nitro doing?
I'm struggling. I think they're on the window outside Solarium. They're in, and they're trying to offer some cover, and they do suddenly get one more. Okay. Not entirely pushed aside, but it took them a long time to get here, but now they're here, they're making it happen. W7M, if this round goes away from you, it would be
It's a
a
troll game.
sort of tragic cacophony of loss here, one after the other. I thought they were a bit cooked. They
Troll game.
are.
Yeah.
I mean, what happened?
Taking a mic. Like, I'm sorry, every bit of backbone that was established in the first half is all of a sudden being eroded away very quickly after these past 2 rounds. Like,
A timeout.
like, whoever the coach is, W7M, or, I forget, Norris, isn't it? Pretty sure it's Norris, yeah?
I'll just leave you in it.
You know, Milos's best friend from Reload, because every time he went over to Norris, he would just sit there and laugh at him. It was great. And yeah, he needs to get in there and tell his fellas to, what are you doing? Stop trolling, because it was the swing from Lobbin. That was the kicker for me, where I'm like, right, they've just lost all resemblance to the plot here. A 4v2 where you have full top floor control, and the remaining players are one guy in solar windows and the other guy in trophy. There is no pressure in any other point of the map, and they just start running at them. That was the issue for W7M. They just didn't respect their opponents, and they just tossed the round away.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
4-4. And maybe they'll stop mucking about, Demo. If they've had that conversation with Norris, it's gonna hopefully put a little bit more towards the direction of the ship here. And again, for me, it's great from 9Z to not give up. Because how many teams would have in that situation? How many teams would have been like, this is who we're up against, this is where we're at, blah, blah, and things start to fall apart. It's fantastic that you always get the proof that you fight for every moment and you fight for every possibility, because you never know when things are going to be possible. Things are tied up here. They've been able to get themselves the opening 2 rounds. They've been able to get themselves, you know, a pulled timeout out of their opponents. Maybe the day of upsets is not yet done. This would, I mean, not that we're going to get there yet. There's still time. But if 9Z win this with a clean 3-0, they jump temporarily to first in the league.
Yeah. Big for them. Very, very big. do think, though, that timeout, surely that's the wake-up call for W7M.
Oh, it has
You know,
to
just
be.
to lock it out from there. Because if they wanted to, they could. You know, they could easily just go and sweep these next 3 rounds if they just keep their heads and don't do anything stupid. 9Z, of course, are the ones who will be chasing the game. We know that. They were gifted a free round the last time. You know, they were. It was the case for W7M just lost the plot. Obviously now we head into, once again, another one of these extended roam games from W7M. Last time they tried this, they were taking on way too much. You know, they extend it down in towards kitchen, for example. This time it looks as though they've really compacted themselves more in towards that top floor and the top floor only. And using actually the hatch to look down on these attackers as they maneuver in towards bar right now. And W7M, a little bit all over the show, but equally so are 9Z. Crazy what's going on. About Util is just getting dashed in, and there goes Lob with the shotgun, holds down Blue, dots with another. 4v3, W7M take an early lead in this round.
Yeah, they made sure they were in a position to try and respond immediately there. We've seen big bits of pressure come through. Obviously, the Dockerby and the Ace Gun had so much for a team's wanted approach here, and it just sort of costs the angles that can otherwise be put together. And yes, last time we were here, it was a 2 versus 1 sort of situation. It played out with, you know, utilizing the utility, and most of the fighting, if not all of it, happened off the site itself. But still, you can see now, W7M, they've chilled out a bit. They'll have the read on a player entering here on towards Library. They'll be ready for the rotation round. They're not giving up ground. Lobin has used all 3 of their smokes to hold off what was that initial push. But look at the positions of Dodez, look at the positions of Palu Demo. They have just stacked Ivy and are sort of saying, look, if you want the site, you're using the one opening you've got.
Yeah, and he can't really jump in for the breach here. It's going to be watched by a player on half wall also. I mean, Nitro's going to come around this corner, and Palu should be able to take it, but Palu looks the wrong way, and because of that, Lobin also gets picked off, and all of a sudden, it's a 2v2. What was the call? What did he hear to make him look away?
Well, Dodez, to the relief of W7M, locks out the final 2 kills. Yeah, I mean, a lucky break right there for W7M.
Big fan.
Again, still great growth from 9Z. Still, it's not over till it's over. That's the best energy you can have, especially against a region favorite, especially against some of the most accredited players that have ever touched the game.
I've got an idea for a content piece.
Okay.
All right. So first of all, we check my blood pressure at the start of the day, and we check it at the end. We'll see what the difference is.
I worry for that Ubisoft might just be like we can't keep you on the staff if this is what it's doing to you.
Health concerns.
They'll pull you aside. They'll be like, Demo, we did the content, we shot the content. We just can't show it. But also, there's these medical professionals here, and they're going to take you to a side.
Yeah, these people in hazmat suits shot the house. Didn't think of, you know, it's worse than we thought.
Yeah, we just had to call somebody. I know usually, you know, the content's upbeat and jovial, but we just had to
Watching
call
this
somebody.
game has made me contract to buponic plague. That's the issue with this game. We love it, we hate it.
They're like, and also, we got your friend Tim here to talk to you.
5 seconds left.
Comes
Demo.
here to help me.
I cannot do it.
Was that your Tim impression? Was that it?
Yeah, it's not good.
You need to get the kind of raspiness to the voice. You need to almost as though you're really going for it.
Demo, your health. It's important, man. It just goes Geordie with me. I can't do it. I go too far north.
Too far. Yep, too far.
I've just gone too far again this time. 5-4. W7M, the bands, Ace and Castle extend that bit of a stretch in, and you know, there might be always this question of why not more fields? Well, 9Z aren't really using them. They're comfortable to operate around a gun space, around this clarity of information. I love Zero in the right hands and the right sort of pull. And Chalet's a great map for them because of the big cavernous spaces that are often a playground for Valkyrie. They become the same thing. Similarities to a map like Bank, where you can sort of tuck them into a corner, and then suddenly you've got the entire cutoff done. Nitro Trust. And that was instantly repealed. Now it looks like Sam wants to step in here. They've got drones. Just going to hold the fight, and that gives him it.
Almost.
I mean, Lobin knew their time was coming to an end, but suddenly now it's back the other way, Demo.
Yeah, they lost another guy inside a kitchen, I believe, or dining, one of the two. So, w7m, again, really looking to get aggressive on this roam game, and this time it hasn't paid off. Like I mentioned before, z they can shoot straight. You know, they can gun, and they're winning those engagements up against them. Good drone work as well to spot out these players. Still, one more roamer has been unchecked. That is Paulo. Maybe the zero cam will see him if he does switch it over. No, doesn't have any info there at the moment. Paulo will be forced to destroy that and will give his position away. And I wonder now, he has two choices. Does he go above? Does he go below? You know, does he maybe look to go even more in for the flank? Or does he just think, okay, let's see if we can win the 3v4 in sight? That's your options. It looks as though he's went for the latter of the two.
Just under a minute left, and they start to make their way in here on towards Red and Trench. There's the C4 out the hole, doesn't quite get the catch, and the fire pushes them back. A huge amount of damage, and they know where the players are, but they've still got to try and make this land, and there's the first step in, and they're off to the site. Going towards the default plant, knocks the barrel out the way. With Palu getting one, suddenly they can't quite have the confidence to go for it because they'll just swing in, bees or not. So instead, guns up, go for the engagement. Beautifully played here by Dots. Moves in, moves out, pulls and prods and pushes them back, but the plant is being connected with the ground. No cover! No way! Palu pops two heads and is looking for the last. Will did strike on the back, but with 15 seconds and a shotgun, you love the shotgun in that engagement.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah, 9Z missed one key factor for that attack. Long wall not being opened up. Not even... I don't even think it's just long wall being not even opened up. Nobody on the door. Did you not see the safety that those defenders had just to slip their way off pillar into a line of sight that typically would be opened up and you just get slaughtered? You give them so much freedom in that bomb site just to move around the util. Unforgivable in many eyes that is what loses them the round, is just something as simple as somebody holding that long cross, you know? Yeah, w7m, bit of magic in the air for Paulu, big 4K. The BP as well, constant information. w7m knew everything that was happening whenever that plant was being attempted. So, yeah, 9Z missing some key things, probably showing, I think, their age of it as a team, aren't they? You know, missing out things like that, and I suppose w7m showing their age, and the fact that Paulu can, you know, clutch up moments like that. He's done it many, many times before, and I'm sure it won't be his last knowing him.
No, and that's that sort of statement you make. There's a reason for however long he's been in this game. He's been regarded as one of the best players to touch it. Statistically backed reasoning. And also moments like that. Again, you were right. Offered way too much. By not having the cover in that position, they were very concerned about the swing coming from the sort of pillar side, the smaller side. And that just gives an opening, an opportunity for players that will always want to sniff out of it and go for the sort of gap and go for that opportunity. And going for the planter first as well sort of just shows his experience. Because if he had got that kill and then been traded instantly, he has still set them back about 15, 20 seconds for somebody to move in and get that kit and then move on. Still, 6-4. 9Z used their timeout. They have 2 rounds to try and push this one over the edge, and Lobin, the Clash, is going to try and slow this down against the Sense and the Call approach. Seen some sneaky Sense play just before, but there'll be a follow-through.
The Dokkaebi has been pretty good value as well for 9Z, just being able to get in and take some of these engagements.
Oops.
Speaking of early engagements as well, Dots has had a bit of a slip. Maybe banana peel maybe left over from lunch, who knows?
It's just a risky place. There's a lot of dangers there. And well, I guess this point is, I'm wondering, yeah, they are getting the player up. Was that just, maybe he was just being aggressive on towards the mirror window and they sprayed through a pipe from the door?
Yeah,
well, no, the door's still sealed. It's got to be potentially
a single window, no?
Snowmobile window, yeah, the one just above.
Yeah.
Or, either way, They're hurt, but alive. That's the important factor here. Pressure on towards the clash. It seems like it's being covered here well from Dodez. They've got the vertical position, and you can see that 9Z are trying to run the numbers, but the Hibana being the only hard breach, 10 pellets left, maybe to get both walls. It's a bit awkward.
Yeah,
They've
don't
not done
forget as
anything-
well, it's a hub up here as well, so it can freeze them off.
Yeah, because not done anything up here yet. Utilizing
See
them
that,
all.
by the way?
Only 2 left. No, we'll talk about
He
it.
froze the Ash breaching round. I've never seen that. The Ash breach round was frozen in midair. That didn't even. Never seen that before, but it is possible, as it's shown, but never seen it before. That was a pretty interesting interaction, but again, it's the top above. I mean, what can they do? He's wasting so much time here.
Oh, and he's wasting heads. There's one. Wanted to dabble on towards the second, but now as the wall pops open, he's not going to overstay his welcome. Hibana has no pellets left at this point, and they've finally got themselves a route in towards box. But,
Hello?
Clash, what are you doing? Is a question
Woman.
we're all asking right now. But apart from 9Z, who are more than happy to reap up the answer, which is feeding us this route in. They get vertical. They get 2 kills. But now they still have work to be done, and that includes getting themselves planted. And this is the other half of this I was worried about, is where else have they got this breach? The sense roll is kind of apparent. Across that side, you get out on the drone hole, and this wall is slightly caved open.
No verts.
But it's not a rotate in here, Demo.
Yeah, I think they still have to go for the door, and they do. And because Dots has made this play over into this corner, it could be a hatch drop. I think it has to be a hatch drop, but w7m are just holding on. That is the diffuser player, also taken out, and Dots cleans up house. Wow, 3K. Doesn't even need to move his feet. He just stands, shifts from one angle to another.